Hi there, BookTube. This is Emma from Emma's Bookish Lifestyle, and this is now take 9 of my edit-free videos, and a bit of a catch-up with you because I haven't seen you for a while. I will have posted a few videos back to back, and I do apologise that, but I also thank you all for taking the time to watch them. Part of the reason for that has been I've been in a bit of a book reading slump since I've come back from my holiday. I thoroughly enjoyed the time in Devon, and having that whole week of pure seclusion and peace and quiet and tranquility and books and my dogs was absolutely fantastic and idyllic, but it gave me a bit of a slump on my return. Also, I've had to move into the kitchen, as you've probably noticed, because it's the only place where I can get the least reflection on my glasses. And I've recently started reading Robin Hobb's The Farseer trilogy, and I'm on book 1 at the moment, and that's starting to ease me out of my book reading slump. So I'm doing that with Victoria from Eve's Alexandria, although she's read the first 2 books, so she's doing a reread at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss those together as we did with War and Peace. And I really loved that experience. It was my first book buddy reading experience, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, one of the things I did get this weekend when I was in London was this beautiful Wonder Woman notepad, which is literally the size of my hand. I am a big cartoon or Marvel fan. I don't mind DC either, and I have to say I really enjoyed the DC Wonder Woman film. But what I loved about this little notepad was it kind of had half a dozen pages at the front with some drawings or illustrations and a little bit of a tiny story. There's Wonder Woman herself, and then it goes on to like just plain lined notepad, which I always love to have something like this about my person in my bag, big bag, small bag, in case I make arrangements with someone to go somewhere, if there's something memorable happen while I'm out that I want to remember, or if I see a book or a film that I really like the look of, or somebody recommends something to me that they think I'll like, then I can keep a note of it. So that's the Wonder Woman notepad that I got from Forbidden Planet. I have to say that we went to see, I can't remember if I've said, so I do apologise if I've duplicated, but this is like the 8th or 9th time I've tried to film this video. I went to Bat Out of Hell, the musical, with my brother in London at the London Coliseum Theatre. I have to say I highly recommend it. It was fantastic. For those of you that like a sort of an alternative type musical, because obviously this is based around the Bat Out of Hell albums, part 1 and part 2, that Meat Loaf released, and was always designed to become a rock opera. It was thoroughly enjoyable, and I really enjoyed it, so highly recommend it. Back now to the bits that I got from Forbidden Planet. So I also picked up Planetfall by Emma Newman. Obviously this has been doing the rounds on BookTube quite heavily, but I did discuss this with Victoria from Eve's Alexandria, and she really enjoyed this book, maybe more so than the parallel sequel that came out afterwards, although she said that was a good book. It just wasn't as good as this book, and I was fortunate enough to get a signed copy at no extra cost, so that was fantastic. The next book I treated myself to was Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is the first in a trilogy that Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures said she thoroughly enjoyed and looks right up my street. And I'm trying to get back into my sci-fi and fantasy books. I have kind of gone off more into fiction and literary fiction of late, and so want to kind of keep a balance and don't want to lose my love of other genres. The next book I've got is The Girl Who The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland. I love the idea of this book. I love the illustrations. I've seen this on BookTube, and I've heard a lot of people talking about Catherine M. Valente, and I haven't actually read any of her books. So with this being sort of a quite, I think this might be a middle grade or even a YA book, I thought this might be a unique place to start and see if I like her writing style. I don't know if her writing style is any different in her adult books. I'd love to know what your thoughts are if you've read this book down in the comments below, because I haven't heard much other than high praise for her writing. And last but not least, in the books, I bought Nine Fox Gambit. This has been toying with my brain forever. I have seen it everywhere. It's been on my TBR. I keep finding it on shelves, and as I was in Forbidden Planet, the new one was out and was clearly displayed, and I thought I cannot buy the second one until I've read the first one, and I haven't bought the first one, so I surrendered and bought myself the first one. I have to say, my shelf slam plans for 2017, epic fail. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm shelf slamming anymore. I am still doing my book swap where Victoria and I from Eve's Alexandria buy each other a book each month to try and prevent ourselves from buying books. But yeah, for me, epic fail. So graphic novel wise, I bought myself Descender Volume 4. I absolutely adore this series. Tim21 is a fantastic little character. If you haven't read this, I would highly recommend it. It's beautiful, kind of watercolour, sketchy artwork. It's based on a young robot, Tim21, who was on a planet with a mother and her son, and events take place that transcend him into different areas of the galaxy, and trying to calm down quite a strong what's the word, to try and find his family and to find himself, but also to try and he's found himself caught up in a political battle. And without giving too much away, I mean, this is volume 4. Thoroughly recommend it. I haven't been able to put it down. I should have waited on reading this, because now I'm going to be sitting there waiting for the bind up of volume 5, and I'm not quite sure when that's due out. So fingers crossed it won't be too long, and this has been out for a bit. I just haven't been aware of it. On top of that, I've got myself some new ones. So this was one I saw on Janet from Swirly Girly Reads channel, and this is Low. This is based on a society that live underwater. Sorry, that was my books all falling down. Let me just go and pick those up quickly. Sorry about that. So I've picked the books up that I've catapulted across the floor. So this is Low. This is The Delirium of Hope, which is Bind Up Volume 1 by Remenda and Tocchini. And this is about a society, as I say, that live underwater. I don't really know much about the storyline. I have got a feeling that there might be some other interesting bits in here that I'm not fully aware of. I don't know if this is an LGBT graphic novel. I hope so, because I don't read enough diverse literature, including things like LGBT. So it'd be interesting to see what this bind-up is. And I know that there's a few bind-ups already, Volume 2 and Volume 3, I think, are out. So I can go on with the series if I love it. So that's the first new graphic novel that I've decided to start with. This one is Lock and Key, Welcome to Lovecraft, and this is by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Now, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King, and he's also a fiction writer in his own right. He does write his own novels. I haven't actually had the chance to read any yet, but I know they're on my wish list. And Lock and Key was recommended to my brother. He thought that it was something that I would enjoy. I like this sort of the dark gothic feel on the front, and what I love about it is the graphic style is very much along my kind of taste as well. Again, don't really know much about it, but really looking forward to getting into it. And I know that there's again several bind-ups after this that I can read if I enjoy it, so really looking forward to reading that. And last but not least, on the graphic novel front, this is another new one that caught my eye while I was there by Image, and this is Witches. It's quite a freaky cover. They actually had two copies, or two types of cover. They had one with like the witch in a tree, but it didn't have a price on it, and I always hate to commit myself to something that might be heckishly more expensive graphic novels aren't cheap. I mean, they are sort of, in the UK they are about £9 for a graphic novel. So unless you're kind of inclined to want to collect a certain series, and to be honest with you, I don't follow many series. I think I've only got one or two other than this that I am actually collecting. It is quite good if you can see if you can get them from your local library. I know a lot of booktubers are able to get things from their local library in the way of graphic novels, so definitely worthwhile looking. Now, I believe this, again, just from the synopsis, is going to be right up my street, and it says here, when the Rooks family moves to the remote town of Litchfield, New Hampshire, to escape a haunting trauma, they're hopeful about starting over, but something evil is waiting for them in the woods just beyond the town, watching from the trees, ancient and hungry. And again, the graphic style is very different. It's quite a colourful colour palette in this one, which is what I quite liked about it. It's a bit different to some of the others that I'm reading. So yes, so that's a new one. It's a bit, I think it's going to have a horror element in it, but I'm not overly freaked out by horror. It's more gore, and I think in a graphic novel, gore doesn't quite impact me the same way as it does in, say, a horror film or something like that. So that's where I am at the moment with books that I got from London. Let me move those over to that side. I've just realised I've moved everything the wrong direction. Not one direction. And so now I'm going to try and quickly move on because I'm conscious that it's 12 minutes into this video. So I'm also reading at the moment Angela Carter's book of fairy tales. This was mentioned by Jen Campbell. I admit this is the naked paperback. I've got the actual cover ensconced away at the moment, but it's very, very simple and plain, nice embossing on the front. I'm only 28 pages in at the moment, and I think I've read 3 or 4 short stories out of it. I am enjoying it. I haven't read any Angela Carter before. I really wanted to read some kind of fairy tale type stories. I'm wondering if maybe I've chosen the wrong starting point for Angela Carter. I'm not blown away by the stories that I'm reading. They don't seem to be sticking with me or being too memorable, but I've got to give it more time because I'm only, as I say, 2, 3, 4 stories in. So I will give that some more time. And because they're nice little short stories, actually, the likelihood is I will probably try and complete that book. It's nothing to do with the writing style. The writing style is really nice, and the feel of the stories is nice, and each of the stories is based on sort of different nationalities and areas of the world. So you've got Inuit stories and Indian stories and English fairy tales. So I think I just need to give it a fair whack. It was something that I first started when I first got into my book slump, and it has helped because it's short stories, so it's kept my reading going even though I'm not reading a lot. And doing the graphic novel Descender Volume 4 has also helped. I do find graphic novels help kickstart and keep me going in my reading endeavours. So I, like many other people of you out there, have been a long time advocate of The Moth Box, and that's come out this month, and I have those 2 books to read. So this time Mercy from Mercy's Bookish Musings has popped in 2 books. This is a novel box set, and this is The Next Step in the Dance by Tim Gautreaux. Sorry, I butchered that. This I haven't read the back of. I'm trying not to read the synopsis of too many books that I subscribe to, because it's interesting just to have a fresh book and a fresh perspective. I do like the cover. It looks like it's a unique publishing house because it's by Fox, Finch and Tepper, and I've never heard of those before, and I think they've only done one other book, which is The Shirley by Darcy Nyland. I'd love to know if you've read that book as well, if that was any good, because I like the way that they bind their books up, and they're still relatively floppy, which is great. I'm not going to sniff them on camera, I promise you. I sniff books on camera with you guys far too often. And the next one that I've got is shortlisted for the Davy Byrne Award, and it's The Iron Age by Arja Kajenko. And this has actually also got some beautiful, I'm just trying to find some beautiful illustrations within it to do the story. And it's just stunning. It's got the French flaps, bit dull interior, but it is a gorgeous looking book. And you know what, sometimes simple is the best way, and it looks really, really, really good. This is about a girl on a austere farm in post-war Finland, and I believe it's her story of growing up in poverty and the journey that they make from Finland to Sweden. I do apologise to the Swiss out there. Wasn't intentionally tongue-tying. It is late on a Friday evening. So, another book that I bought myself, and this was late June, early July. This came out to me. It was on back order, and this is C.J. Sansom's Winter in Madrid. Now, I know a lot of us know or have heard about the C.J. Sansom stories involving Shard Lake, the historical fiction books, and I have got one of those to read. I'm going to start that Shard Lake series. I did read the first one, but I didn't progress, and so I want to reread the first one and move forward with the series. And this says it's a compelling tale of game playing, memories, and the impact of impossible choices. If you like Sebastian Faulks and Carlos Ruiz Zafón, you'll love this. Now, I don't tend to compare to other authors. I take books on face value. So I will not compare this to Sebastian Faulks, primarily because it's actually a bit cruel to do that kind of comparative thing. And also, I think I only ever read one Sebastian Faulks book, and I found it quite dry. But yeah, I know I've read C.J. Sansom and enjoyed the book, so I'm not going to let it disconcert me. The inside of this book says, 1940, after the Spanish Civil War, Madrid lies ruined, its people starving, as Germany continues its relentless march through Europe. Britain now stands alone, while General Franco considers whether to abandon neutrality and enter the war. Into this uncertain world comes Harry Brett, a traumatised veteran of Dunkirk turned reluctant spy for the British Secret Service. Sent to gain the confidence of old school friend Sandy Forsyth, now a shady Madrid businessman, Harry finds himself involved in a dangerous game and surrounded by memories. So that sounds really, really good. It is a classic chunkster though. C.J. Sansom does like to write chunky books. And the last three books I've got, and I promise I won't be too long with them, were kindly sent to me by the publishers. And the first one of which is Lars Mitting's The 16 Trees of the Somme. And I have to say, I absolutely love this beautiful, beautiful cover that has been done by McLeho's Press. I mean, it's really, really atmospheric. Now, he was the author of Norwegian Wood. I'm really having problems with country names today. And has been translated by Paul Russell Garrett. Now, it's due out on the 10th of August and is basically in regard to the following storyline. So, Edvard grows up on a remote mountain farmstead in Norway. With his taciturn grandfather Sverre, the death of his parents when he was 3 years old has always been surrounded in mystery. He has never been told how or where it happened, and has only a distant memory of his mother, and the story of his grandfather's late brother, Einar, is somehow bound up with this mystery. A coffin is delivered long before his grandfather's death, a meticulous Art Deco piece made of flame wood, with the hallmark of a master craftsman. Perhaps Einar is not dead after all. Edvard's desperate quest to unlock the tragic secrets of two families takes him on a long journey, following a trail of clues from Norway to the Shetlands. So there is more on that, but that just absolutely sounds fascinating to me. And it says it's a family story of epic proportions. So what's not to like? I do love a family story, and if it's got epic proportions, all the better. So now, going off on a complete tangent and something completely different, I'd like to thank Hodder and Stoughton for sending me this. This is The Dark Net by Benjamin Percy. Now, this is due out on the 3rd of August, and is basically an area of the net that you hear referred to now. It's a new thing that has been kind of spoken about, and that is the dark net. And here it says, the dark net is real, an anonymous and often criminal arena that exists in the secret far reaches of the web. Some use it to manage bitcoins, pirate movies and music, or traffic drugs and stolen goods, and now an ancient darkness is gathering there as well. These demons are threatening to spread virally into the real world unless they can be stopped by members of a ragtag crew. 12-year-old Hannah, who has been fitted with the Mirage, a high-tech prosthetic that restores her sight, can't understand why she can now see shadows surrounding certain people. A technophobic journalist named Layla has stumbled upon a story nobody wants her to uncover. A story someone will kill to keep. Mike Juniper, a one-time child evangelist who suffers from personal and literal demons, has an arsenal of weapons stored in the basement of the homeless shelter he runs. And Derek, a hacker with a cause, believes himself a soldier of the internet, part of a cyber army akin to Anonymous, dedicated, changing the world for the better. Now, this looks right up my street, and also I've read quite a few books by this publisher, Hodder and Stoughton, and I thoroughly enjoy their books. They're kind of my kind of genre, and I do think that actually Eleanor from Eleanor Reads, I think this might be something that Eleanor would really enjoy. She recently put a similar sort of book on one of her book hauls. I think she was sent one by a publisher that was based about somebody who had like a chip put in their brain, and they were going to take part in a reality TV show, and they were trying to get the chip taken out once they found the reasoning behind the reality TV show. So similar kind of ilk. So if Eleanor, if you do follow my channel and you watch my channel, or if anybody that does follow my channel knows Eleanor, I think she might like this book, The Dark Net. Definitely of interest. And last but not least, this is a Tinder Press book that was kindly sent to me, and this is The Watch House. Now, this is again another beautiful, beautiful book by Bernie McKill. This is due to be published on the 10th of August, and it's a story of infidelity, secrets and murder in a small Irish island community inspired by Marconi's experiments in wireless telegraphy in the late 19th century. It compares it to being in the vein of Burial Rites, but as again I said to you previously, I take books at their own merit. I don't compare it to previous books, and definitely don't compare it to previous authors. And it says here, as the 20th century dawns on the island of Rathlin, a place ravaged by storms and haunted by past tragedies, Nuala Byrne is faced with a difficult decision. Abandoned by her family for the new world, she receives a proposal from the island's ageing tailor. For the price of a roof over her head, she accepts. Meanwhile, the island is alive with gossip about the strangers who have arrived from the mainland, armed with mysterious equipment which can reportedly steal a person's words and transmit them through thin air. When Nuala is sent to cook for these men, engineers who have been sent to Rathlin by Marconi to conduct experiments in the use of wireless telegraphy, she encounters an Italian named Gabriel, who offers her the chance to equip herself with new skills and knowledge. As her friendship with Gabriel opens up horizons beyond the behind the rocky and treacherous cliffs of her island home, Nuala begins to realise that her deal with the tailor was a bargain she should never have struck. Again, this looks like it could be really interesting. I do like technology, and I don't really know much about Marconi, so it'd be interesting to do a bit of research as well on that. And I've recently read, or I'm in the processes of reading, Stolen Child, which was based in Ireland, on an island off the coast of Ireland, and I'm really, really enjoying that. So I think this is definitely again going to be one up my street. So that's all my books. That's quite a big catch-up book haul. I hope you're all well, YouTube. That's got me up to date now. I'm hoping to become a bit more regular again and get back to being a bit more regular again with my videos. I do apologise that I've been off the radar for a while. And as I say, I have hit a bit of a book slump, so please forgive me and thank you for being patient and still subscribing and following my channel. I look forward to hearing from you soon, BookTube. If there's any particular books here that you like the look of, or you'd like to book buddy read maybe, or have read and can let me know your thoughts on it, I'd love to know. Please open up a chat down below and I'll speak to you soon. Take care for now. Bye bye.